Were there anything at the school that you didn't like?
Well, at my age, it's easy to forget those things. It doesn't take that many years to forget the things you don't like. I'm sure there were, but I can't think of anything big right now. Let's go back to the question of things I didn't like, though, for a minute. This is something to think about. Um, when I was a young child, the school was relatively small, and when I was older, it was larger. And I'll just add that as the school got larger, it got to be more dynamic and exciting, and there were more choices of things to do and people to spend your time with and people to interact with. So I think, I think in general, with these schools, I think it's better to strive to have a relatively large community. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't bother if you can't get a large community right away, or you shouldn't bother trying with a smaller number of children. But I think having a bigger group makes it more exciting and more dynamic and a better place for children.
I think it's better having more people in the school. It means that there'll be more people your similar age and people you'll mix in with better. And I think that's the only disadvantage I have had in my school because it's always been fairly small. And I have never really had anyone my own age that I have got on with really well, so that's the only downside.
So that was one thing that I can say that I don't know if I want to point it out as something I didn't like, but the school grew a lot when I was a student there. From, you know, relatively small. I mean, small enough so that every year there were people worried about staying open and paying the bills and things like that, to big enough where people were able to back off and not worry about that all the time.
Can you say with how many students the school began, and how big it is when you left? Big it was when you left.
When I left, there were, I think, around 150 students, and that was all age ranges. I don't know how small it was when I was a young child.
Is there just anything that you don't like at school, at your school? Anything that you would change?
If you want to change something, we
change
can.
it.
That's the thing.
No.
Okay, but maybe
There are some things that no, you can't change because they have to be that way, and you just don't like them, like cleaning or serving on the judicial committee.
Or the laws in general. It sucks to have to keep up. We have 150 laws. It sucks to have to keep up with every single one and do everything right and always, But I accept it as something that allows me to have freedom and to have a school where I'm happy and to have my friends feel comfortable and everybody be respected.
And at worst, it's a lesser evil. You know that you may not like this law, but you know that without it, it will be even worse. So there isn't anything that we don't like and can't accept and can't change. It's either you can change something or you can accept it. There aren't any unacceptable, crazy, bad things going on.
Have you ever thought of changing to another school, or are you very comfortable with where you are, or have you been?
I know that I sort of lightly thought about it, maybe because of more people, but I know that I'm really glad that I stayed at my school because I'm completely different than most other people, and I know what my interests are. So, yeah.
Well, I've thought about going to a public school because I've never gone to one, and just because of also the size, because there was nobody close to my age, so I would play with everybody, but I have thought about going to a public school, but now that I think about it, I would never change. I would never change my school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm done with school in general now, but since I went to Sudbury Valley, I don't think the thought ever crossed my mind to go to any other type of school.
There's some children who have decided that they wanted to go to the regular school, right? I mean, this is still sort of a weird thing. It's a small group of people. Everybody else who lives in their neighborhood has gone to the regular school. And I know some people who have left by choice and done just fine. You know, it's not the thing we advertise because we'd rather people stayed.
And this year, after the second year of the school, there wasn't one student who left because he wanted to leave. There were 3 or 4 that moved out of the city or out of the country, and 2 students whose parents pulled them out because they weren't happy, but they're determined to return. There wasn't one student that felt he needed to leave. Like, everybody found their place in the school.
You know, they were having some trouble with the school they were in. They came to Sudbury Valley for a while. A year later or 2 years later, their parents took them out to go somewhere else. And Sudbury Valley, the staff at Sudbury Valley, always thought of that as a failure, right? The people came and left again. They thought of it as a failure. The surprising thing that you see when you read these letters that people send in, and that they've seen when they've tried to do follow-up studies, is that that year or 2 has been a big deal for that kid. And they remember that, they treasure that time, and it helps them with their future. So that's, in some ways, really surprising. The staff at Sudbury Valley always thought it was a failure, you know, they left again. But it wasn't. They came, for some reason or another, they couldn't stay, but those people actually got a lot out of the school.
Do you like your school?
We love our school. Our school's the best place.
Why?
Well, I personally like, you know, I still like being at home. You know, I'm not like, yay, I'm going to school every morning.
Like I am.
Yeah, she is like that, and many kids are in the school. But it's not because I think the school is a bad place or anything. It's just that I like being at home better. I know that there isn't a single place in the world that would be better for me to go to as a school. There isn't any other school that I would rather go to, except for some other Sudbury model schools, which I wouldn't really like to go to as much because this is a school that I helped put together myself.
Did you like your time at Sudbury Valley School?
Yes, I loved it. It was wonderful.